They'll lynch you, but he did, and he laughs at
Hello, West Ham Network. It's Holly, and today we are going to have a little chat about the injury crisis which has descended upon us this international break. If you're new around here, please make sure that you have subscribed, and whether you're familiar with our content or not, if you like it, please do give it a thumbs up to help us grow the channel and so that we know that you've enjoyed what you've seen. Otherwise, how are we to know? So we're going to start today with a picture that was very flattering back from a few days ago. So here's a really nice image of good times, little hands here, back just 5 days ago when West Ham had the least injuries in the Premier League by a long way. Now, at this point in time, we actually had no injuries at all, which is really impressive when you consider our previous luck. Now, we are talking about a team that had Michail Antonio continuously being injured a few seasons back. Obviously, everyone said his hamstrings were made of Ritz crackers or whatever it was we were all talking about, but our squad was forever plagued with new and inconvenient injuries which seemed to come at the worst time with all of our players. Now, it also shows that at West Ham we must have been doing something good in terms of physio and sports science in the recent season compared to the likes of Arsenal, who have 11 injuries, Man U with 10 injuries, Newcastle with 13, Spurs with 10. So a lot of people have it a lot worse than us. However, as you will have seen in the last couple of days, our luck has turned around very quickly, and it has been while players are on international duty. So we still don't have anywhere near as many injuries as some other teams. However, you could definitely argue that in the space of a week, we've basically lost a few of our key players, our most key players as well. And those have all been injured, obviously, while on international break, which is a shame to see. So first, Antonio is said to have had a hamstring injury. However, this turned out to be ligament damage. This sounds like the most serious of all of the injuries we've got. We're waiting on news at the moment of a scan so that we can see how serious that ligament damage is. However, the update is not ideal at all. Ligament damage can take anything from, I think I read 3 weeks to 3 months to heal, depending on the extent of the damage. And given that he isn't the youngest and he's also a little bit of a tank, which means he puts a lot of pressure through those knees and legs, it could slow down his recovery. So this sounds like the worst injury from the last few days. Then Bowen, obviously that was a big hit when we heard that he could be injured. However, he drove himself to the training ground yesterday, so he's able to drive, which is obviously a good sign. And he's got a scan next week on his knee. Southgate commented saying that he didn't think it was too serious, and West Ham sound as though they're on the same page. However, ultimately that scan is going to be what will tell us what to expect, and this one is a huge loss if he does need time out. As we've seen, he is contributing to many goals at the moment. And he's also playing a huge part in the striker situation and solving that, because he has been doing really well up top. Then it's kind of like the curse of the strikers, isn't it? It always seems to be the issue. Then Souček, as always, he got clattered in the head by studs over the international break. Saw the video at first, saw the studs kind of glance over his head and didn't see for a while whether or not he was injured. Then there was that image, I think it was of him on a plane with just gashes on his face. So yeah, there were rumours that he may have been subject to the concussion protocol, but he played the full game and captained it as well yesterday for Czech Republic. And he seems to be absolutely fine. Hard as nails, that guy, never in doubt. So that one sounds as though it doesn't need to be a major concern. But this morning, another injury blow as news broke that Kudus did not train yesterday after he felt some pain in his back while running. So he's going to have a late fitness test to check whether or not he'll be able to play in the upcoming international game. But again, it's not thought that the injury is anything too awful. But again, you just don't know, and we don't want him to play and then injure himself properly. So the club are said to be planning a friendly internally before the end of the week so that they can check on everyone's fitness ahead of our next game, which is against Burnley, of course, on Saturday at 3 p.m. So the big question remains, how serious are these injuries? Now, I'm quietly confident, obviously haven't seen their injuries, but I'm quietly confident that they aren't. The ones that are said that aren't too serious is probably more that they're being rested as a preventative measure rather than pushing them through and and probably injuring them more. So players often feel a bit of a tweak when they're with international duty, and usually therefore aren't willing to risk their health. So they pull out of those international games in the hope that they'll be recovered by the time that they return to the league. And I'm hoping that this will be the case, that they've just felt something and that they don't want to push their luck. They tell the physios with the international teams are like, well, don't play then. And that is what we're hearing. Obviously, Antonio's does sound more serious. But hopefully this is the case, as they're all going to be aware that we need them to hit the ground running on their return. So there we have it. One international break has killed off half of our best players. There's never a quiet week at West Ham, is there? Even when we don't have any games, it's never quiet. From all of these injuries to Soufal being sent home, there's always something happening at West Ham. Would we have it any other way? Potentially, but we don't get a choice, do we? So it's a very difficult one with international duty, because players obviously want to play their part for their countries at the highest level. And as fans, most of us are supportive of them getting noticed, hence why lots of us questioned why Ward-Prowse didn't get the call up alongside Bowen. But international games do come with this risk, and there's definitely a reason that so many players from so many clubs always get injured when they play elsewhere. You only had to look at the video of the pitch that Antonio nearly played on. That was, I don't know if you saw, it was basically like a swimming pool, but they made them come to the stadium somehow in the hope that it would drain. When you see the state of the pitches and the differences in facilities, it makes you realise that there is an increased likelihood of players getting injured. And while in the Premier League, we might go, oh, look, the ball bobbled, or there's a little bit of pitch that's churning up. In other countries, some of the pitches are 100% worse. So, yeah, I don't think that helps with the injury situation. And then you combine that with the different styles of training, probably lack of hydration from travelling overseas, not being with the same physios that have clearly been holding players together pretty well at West Ham, dare I say it. And it's a bit of a recipe for disaster. So there we have it. The double-edged sword of players getting called up for international duty celebrates their talent. It makes us look good as a club. It makes us look like a great place for new signings to want to come to if they want to take it to the next level and be recognised internationally. But it also makes other clubs eye up our players, and it puts them at risk of injury, which is scary, and a problem that at West Ham we probably haven't had to face too often. Which I guess comes again with when you're trying to take things to the next level and trying to be ambitious and sign these bigger players, and then they're performing well for you. You do have both sides of this double-edged sword, unfortunately. So the coming days will obviously be telling in terms of how many players we're going to have out for our upcoming games. But Souček's fine, unless he gets booted in the head again. But Bowen and Kudus might not end up missing any games if we're lucky. Antonio, we will have to tell when we get some news about the scan, but it doesn't sound fantastic with him. Many people will probably be happy to hear that he won't be playing, because it will mean that we'll have to mix it up and try some other options. But personally, I'm never happy about an injury, because all it does is it gives us less options, which is not ideal. So here's hoping we can get some positive updates and it isn't as much of an issue as it sounds as though it could be. So there we go. That is all from me for now, but tune in later where I'm going to be running through today's Hammers headlines. If you're new, like I said, make sure you subscribe to the channel, whether you're new or old around here. Give us a thumbs up. That's not very nice, is it? You're not old around here. If you are familiar with the West Ham Network channel, make sure you check out Beer 52 as well. They have a fantastic offer, which you can see everything in the description as well, how you can basically get a free crate of beer around Christmas time, which sounds fantastic. So hope you're all having a great day, whatever you're up to, and until next time, come on, you Irons.